Ever noticed something strange in 2026? Your in-house team argues like it is their own product, whereas your outsourced team just waits for the instructions. Why? Same code, same deadlines, but very different sense of ownership. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. Why is it that your internal team says that let's fix it even if it takes extra, whereas your outsourced team argues this was not in the scope? Same people, same skills, and same goals on the paper, yet very different ownership. And no, this is not a talent problem. This is not a geography problem. And it is definitely not a motivational poster problem too. This is a design problem. Ownership does not come from contracts. It does not even come from daily stand-ups. And it definitely does not come by saying treat it as your own product. Ownership grows only when people feel safe to think and responsible for outcomes, not just tasks. Most outsourcing setups are like delivery trucks. You load requirements, they deliver features. Once delivered, responsibility ends. But remember that ownership does not live in trucks, it lives in gardens. Think of it in this way. A rented house is used carefully but never loved. But a shared home is argued over, improved, and protected. Most outsourcing teams feel like they are in a rented house. Don't repaint walls, don't change the layout, just follow the instructions. And they do exactly that. Nothing more, nothing less. And then founders ask, why don't they care? Because you never gave them a key. You gave them a rules. Here is why most outsourcing setups quietly fail. Number one, zero decision space. Everything needs approval. Thinking feels risky. Number two, no context, only ticketing. People build what you ask without knowing why it exists. Number three, punished curiosity. Questioning scope is seen as resistance. And number four, one-way accountability. Output is tracked, but outcomes are not shared. In such an environment, smart people switch off their brains to survive. Not because they are lazy, but because thinking is not rewarded. An assembly line worker follows the steps, whereas a mission crew member watches the destination. Outsourcing fails if the teams are treated like assembly lines. Ownership begins when you say, this is the destination, now you tell me if the path makes sense. And that sentence changes everything. Now they are not doing just work, but they are protecting outcomes. Ownership is not demanded, it is invited. Here is what actually works. Number one, outcome-based conversations. Don't ask, is this task done? And instead ask, is the problem reduced? Number two, decision boundaries but not micromanagement. Define where they can decide freely and mean it. Number three, shared consequences. If something succeeds, they are celebrated. And if something fails, then they are involved in fixing it but not blamed. And number four, long-term thinking signals. Ownership grows when people feel that tomorrow exists. Short contracts create short thinking, whereas trust creates long thinking. Most outsourcing teams are judged through a rear view mirror. What went wrong? What was delayed? Ownership appears when you hand them over the part of the steering wheel, not the whole car, just enough to feel direction. A quick reality check, especially if you are working with the teams in India or Gujarat. Silence is rarely here a lack of skill, but it is learned as a self discipline. Many engineers are trained to follow before they are trained to lead. So, ownership does not appear until it is invited. But once trust is real and once ideas are welcomed and not corrected, then these teams don't just deliver tasks but they protect outcomes. In Gujarat, especially, loyalty grows fast when respect is mutual. Ownership here is earned through dignity, not pressure. At Equine Softec, we learned this hard way. Ownership does not come from hiring cheaper. It comes from structuring relationships differently. When the developers are treated as long-term partners and not the replaceable resources, then they stop asking what's exactly the scope and they start asking what's the best for the product. And this shift changes the speed, it changes the quality, and most importantly, it changes the trust. So if your outsourced team feels distant, silent, or overly cautious, then don't ask, why don't they own this? And instead ask yourself, did we design the system that allow ownership at all? In the next episode, we will go deeper into how leadership behavior, not the processes, decide the ownership. Until then, build the teams that people want to protect, not just work for. If this video helped you think clearer, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you. Bye bye.